Oh,
Let me know when you want me to start sharing.
yes. I think we've got quite a few participants joining right now. Sorry, would you mind sharing your screen? That'd be great. We'll just give everybody a few minutes to start joining.
Are you able to see it okay?
Yeah, that's perfect. Asha,
Right.
can you?
Yes, I can see that. Thank you.
Perfect. Give everyone sort of 30 seconds or so, and then we will kick off. I think we've still got a few people logging in, haven't we? Yeah. We begin? Yeah. Fantastic. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar. Thank you so much for joining. Appreciate it's probably everyone's lunch break, so feel free to continue eating your sandwiches, but listen carefully because this will be a really exciting one. I'm Abigail Benham here at Fraser Jones. I'm an associate director here, and I am delighted to be co-hosting our first ever joint webinar as the SR Group, which is the parent company of 5 recruitment and market research consultancies. Just a quick intro for all of you for all of our brands on the screen, as you should be able to see. Delighted to share our newest member of the group, which is Keller West, a global IT specialist search and recruitment boutique. As most of you may know, we've got Fraser Jones, who is our global HR executive search recruitment consultancy. We've got the lovely Asha from Taylor Root, which cover legal risk and compliance. We've got Brewer Morris, who is tax, treasury, and senior finance. And we also have Carter Murray, focusing on marketing and sales. So just a quick overview, and I'm going to pass over to you, Asha.
Thank you, Abby. So I'm Asha Mazari. I'm a director at Taylor Root, focusing on financial services and fintech. I'm thrilled to be introducing our amazing guest speaker, Saurav Chopra. Many of you may know him already as co-founder of Perkbox. Today, he joins us as CEO and founder of 5minutes.ai. Miles ahead of us in his knowledge in this field, and sharing it with us today in practical bite-sized chunks. Now, please feel free to send in your questions throughout the webinar. We'll try and get as many of these answered in our Q&A session at the end. But without further ado, we've got a lot to cover. I'll hand you over to Saurav.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. And good morning to those on the East Coast in the US. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us for this amazing session today on AI-powered HR, how ChatGPT and generative AI can help nurture talent and foster engagement for HR teams. I'm Saurav Chopra, as Asha mentioned, the founder of the business. And what you will see here is a little QR code, which is our AI cheat sheet. So please feel free to take a screenshot of that and go to the URL and download that cheat sheet. As we go through the presentation of the session, you'll find that that cheat sheet will be quite helpful as you plan to use the AI in your journey. So quick intro about myself. I'm an HR tech serial entrepreneur. At 2 decades with large firms, small firms, Silicon Valley startups, companies like Deloitte, Yahoo, Nokia, and then after spending time with these firms, I launched Perkbox. So I co-founded and ran Perkbox till about 3 years ago when I launched 5minutes.ai, which we call, in simple terms, the TikTok of workplace learning, upskilling, and training. And so I've been around the HR tech space for quite some time. And my passion is to help people with their lifelong learning. And obviously, in the age of AI, what we need to do as HR teams, as people leaders, and as companies to ensure that our people upskill because technology is changing faster than we have ever imagined. Quick intro. I want to show you one quick minute video about Families.ai and what we do before we get into the meat of the presentation, which is what we are here to listen to. So here's a quick video on Families.ai and what we do. I just played quickly here. So that's a very quick 1-minute intro of Families.ai. As we said, we're kind of like the TikTok of workplace training and learning. We are live in about 80 plus global markets, trusted by a number of well-known brands like Dropbox, but also some well-known financial services brands around the world, including some of those that you may have heard of. Quick intro on Families.ai. Just a very quick question. Were you able to listen to the sound in that video? I'm just because I've got another video to play out, so I just wanted to. So if someone can just tell me maybe from the.
They were, Saurabh, unfortunately.
Oh, you're not able to. Okay, fine. Okay, no problem. That's useful because the next one, I just want to make sure that you can hear the sound. Awesome. But you're able to hear me, okay, right?
Hear you perfectly.
Okay. No. Okay, great. Thank you very much. I think I'm going to take off my AirPods so you can hear the sound in the next video that I'm gonna show you guys. So great. So before we get into the presentation, I had a quick question I wanted to ask everyone. So the question, and I think Egle here is going to run a poll on your Zoom, which is, how are you feeling about the use of generative AI in the workplace? Are you unsure or indifferent? Are you concerned about its impact? Or are you excited for the benefits? So we'll just let this poll run for about a few seconds, and Egle is going to tell me the response rates. Okay, excellent. Can you still hear me? Hello?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay, great. Fantastic. Alrighty. So actually, I'm just gonna, if you bear with me one quick second, because you said that you can't hear the video in the last one, I just want to make sure you are able to hear the video, the audio in the next video I'm gonna play for you. So please bear with me one. Alrighty. Great. Are you able to hear me now?
Fabulous.
Okay, perfect. So great. It's so exciting to see that so many people are excited about the benefits of generative AI in the workplace. I want to show you a very, very quick video that I recorded, especially for this session. So hopefully you can hear the sound on this one.
Vous, salut. Demain, que faites-vous? Déjeuner à 1230 ou 07h30, heure de l'Est. Je rejoindrai Asha Mazaria, Taylor Root et Abigail Benham, Fraser Jones. Parler de l'IA remodelant les RH en 2024, l'utiliser pour transformer l'engagement des employés et le développement des talents et construire une EVP incroyable. Et voici un bonus. Ce matin même, nous avons confirmé un invité très spécial, Hugo, notre mascotte AI bien-aimé et célèbre, qui est alimenté par l'IA depuis un certain temps, se joindra à moi pour explorer ce sujet passionnant. D'accord, Hugo, inscris-toi sur le lien. Si tu ne viens pas, on t'enverra l'enregistrement. J'espère te voir demain.
So that's just a very, very quick video to show you
that the power of AI. Obviously, I don't speak French. This is all generated by AI, which is in real time translating what I was saying. And this was just an intro that I recorded to present, which I shared on LinkedIn about what the webinar is all about. So this just shows you the power of AI, how much it has advanced. And we recorded this in multiple languages, but obviously without me speaking, not knowing how to speak French. So obviously the French speakers in you may have found, perhaps some minor issues, but when I checked with the French speakers in my team, this was done pretty damn well. So that just shows you the power of what AI can do. Another exciting stat I want to share with you is that in less than 12 months of launching, ChatGPT has become one of the top internet sites in the world, as big as LinkedIn. Now, this is crazy, right? And this is a stat from about 2-3 months ago, and probably the numbers are even higher now. So you can imagine, I, in my tech experience, have not seen any other platform that has rapidly advanced in terms of usage. They have 100 million active users on a weekly basis. So as an AI tool, it's definitely the most advanced, highest used, but you can imagine LinkedIn on one hand, which has been around for 25 years, ChatGPT, which has been around for less than a year. So, and this is how it's advancing and how fast it is advancing in terms of usage. Another stat there, which I think you guys will find very, very interesting, is that, BCG did research where they surveyed 13,000 employees across 18 countries and found that the top leaders in companies, execs and leaders, are actually much more active users of generative AI tools than the frontline employees. Now, this is really, really fascinating. So here it says 92% of leaders are either regularly using it on a once-a-week basis or have used it, while on the front line, it's only 40%. Now, this is a big, big difference, right? And what is really exciting is that this is actually a reverse technology adoption curve. I have not seen this in my experience in the world of tech, because normally what happens with technology is that you usually have the frontline employees adopting a technology and then it bubbles up to the top to the management. But now, in this case, it's a reverse technology adoption curve, which is just fascinating. What is even more interesting is that people who actively use the technology are a lot more optimistic about it. So, for people who've used the technology, the regular users, 62% are very optimistic about it, while people who have not used it, are generally concerned about it, right? And this is the hallmark of a great technology. When the more people use it, the more they're optimistic about it, which is what generative AI tools have done. So that's a very, very interesting stat to keep in mind as well. So let's get into what is generative AI, right? So generative AI is a new form of AI that is capable of creating new content based on the patterns that it has learned from existing data. How is it different from previous forms of AI? Because AI has been around for like 50 plus years, right? When you use Amazon recommendations, that's AI driven. When you use Spotify playlists, that's AI driven. So there are different forms of machine learning, predictive AI that have been in place. What is different about generative AI is that they have trained generative AI on trillions of parameters. ChatGPT alone is trained on over 8 billion pages. And based on these pages it has been trained on, they create patterns. There's learn the patterns between different concepts, different words, and then it produces output based on the training it has received on these patterns. And so in simple terms, you got to think of generative AI models and what they call large language models as a child, right? So, for those who have kids, when you have when a baby's born and there's a child and it grows into a toddler and they become older, you don't have to train them your native language, right? They're just learning, constantly hearing their families and their caregivers, and that's how they train. And imagine that's what an LLM or a generative AI solution is, which is it's trained on all historical data and all the current data and future data as it becomes available. So it's constantly training, just like a child would. It's just at a very, very different scale over trillions of parameters and billions of pages. And that's one way to understand it, right? These are extremely, extremely complex to build. Some of the systems that are being trained right now the models are 100x bigger than what you see on ChatGPT. And therefore, these require enormous data sets and very, very advanced chips, which only the biggest companies in the world, like the Amazons and obviously the Microsofts and the OpenAIs of the world, are able to afford. So lots of core LLM models are being built by some of the biggest companies because they have the processing power and the data sets to train these models. So that's what generative AI is about. Think of it like how a child grows and how a child learns. And that's probably the simplest way to understand how it all works. Is generative AI being used in the workplace? Is it actually delivering value in the workplace? There have been some really, really awesome case studies and examples which have shown that it actually is making a big impact in the workplace. So this was a study done by Stanford and MIT, where it was earlier on in the year, I think it was around April timeframe, where they looked at 5,000 plus customer support agents, and they found that the AI-enabled agents were able to ramp, in about 4 months' time, while the non-AI enabled agents were ramping up in about 10 months, so 6 months faster. So they were ramping up 6 months faster. Not only that, the quality of output of AI-enabled agents was significantly better than the people who were not enabled with AI. So this is and these guys were enabled with ChatGPT and OpenAI tool. So that actually shows you that actually in a real ROI scenario, this is a very clear ROI for the CFO in a company to show, hey, I've got AI-enabled agents and those who are not enabled. And the business case is pretty obvious in this one. Another example, this was more recently published, I think it was a couple of months back, where Boston Consulting Group and Harvard Business School published a study where they found that the bottom half, they looked at the bottom half of BCG consultants and the top half in terms of performance. They gave them both access to ChatGPT, and they looked at the performance improvement, and they found that the bottom half performance improved by 43%, while the top half, the performance was improved by 17%. Now, what this shows you is that AI acted effectively as the great leveler, right? So what that means is, AI-enabled bottom half, and the difference between the AI-enabled bottom half performers and the non-AI enabled and the top half was shrunk from that 40% gap to just 4%. Now that's a massive, massive difference. You can imagine, right? The difference between bottom and the top performers shrinking to less than 4%. So what happens with performance management if everybody gets their own AI co-pilot, like these participants in the BCG study got? So that's again a very good use case of AI application in the workplace, with big studies done by very well-known organizations and how it has impacted actually performance. So AI acting as a great leveler is one other example I wanted to share with you. So this was a quote that actually came from, sorry, I'm trying to get rid of this Zoom bar. Apologies, let me, sorry about that. I'm just trying to hide video panel. Oops. Sorry. Sorry about that. Are you guys able to see everything okay?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. Sorry about that. Panel is popping up. Anyhow, so this is a quote from Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google, who said, hey, by the end of the decade, there'll be two kinds of companies: those who fully utilize AI and those who are out of business. So obviously, the CEO of one of the biggest technology companies in the world, which is actually a bit of a laggard in AI. And for him to say that, you can imagine how important it is in the scheme of things. So what role can HR and HR leaders play in the heart of this AI transformation that pretty much most organizations will go through? We believe fundamentally that HR needs to be in the center of this transformation, and we cannot leave this AI transformation in the hands of a CTO or technical teams in an organization, because as much as it's a technology change, it's a process change, it's a culture change, and we believe that HR needs to be, be the team that actually is driving that transformation inside an organization. So how do you drive this transformation? How does HR win in this new world of AI-powered HR? So these are 5 steps that I believe HR teams should take. So first of all, it's about familiarizing yourself with the AI, the technology, the risks, integrating it into your day-to-day activities. Second, champion ethical and secure AI practices. Third, enhance the employee experience with the AI tools that you're using already, or look at new tools that can help you enhance that employee experience. Driving continuous upskilling is absolutely key. You need to get that culture of learning going inside your organization if you really want people to be empowered and enabled with AI. And then finally, plan for and guide change management. This change is coming very, very fast, even though many of us don't see it right now in front of us, but this is going to happen very, very quickly. And it's imperative, in my view, for HR to get ahead of this curve, and HR leaders to get ahead of this curve and plan for what's coming. So those are the 5 steps. Let's go in each and every one of them in a bit more detail. So familiarizing yourself with AI tools, the risks, and how to integrate them into your day-to-day. So first of all, obviously for those who are using ChatGPT and for those who are very, very optimistic, I think the number was about 69% about the benefits. Fascinating, awesome. I think some things are really, really important to understand. First of all, that, obviously it's trained on human data. We are biased as humans, so no doubt, it's not surprising that the output coming from these tools has a bias in it. So you have to be conscious of that. It does not have context sensitivity. It needs a lot of training to understand your specific context. So whatever you get in terms of output, you have to bear that in mind. Hey, it's not been trained on your specific context. It is also not trained on your specific domain. So if you're in specific verticals, it's not been trained on your data. So that'll affect the output it generates for you. Data security and privacy is a big issues, obviously. So we have some ideas on how we can help you in that area through this presentation. We'll touch upon briefly. And then intellectual property, right? Obviously, the top prime ministers and presidents around the world are talking about intellectual property concerns. So there's obviously that area you have to kind of bear in mind. So these are the kind of 5 things to kind of think about in terms of limitations of ChatGPT and generative AI. Whenever you get an output, whenever you're playing with the tool, that's something you have to think these should be at the back of your mind. Obviously, the tool is very, very useful, but it's important to understand the context and the limitations. Some of my favorite tools, we use these tools very actively. So obviously every day, you see on LinkedIn and people will say, hey, there are 100 new AI tools. Obviously, no one has time to look at 100 new AI tools, but this is a quick snapshot of the tools that we use. So text generation, obviously ChatGPT, Microsoft always have released Copilot. Some of you may have access to that Copilot tool already, and that's allowing us to do a lot of wonderful things. Bing is a tool. Obviously, you can use Bing Chat without paying for ChatGPT Plus, without paying for ChatGPT 4, you can get that access with Bing. Claude is fantastic. It's one of the founders of OpenAI actually started Claude, and again, it's a brilliant tool. So we tend to play around with a couple of tools normally to get the best output. So that's text generation. Now, a lot of these tools have created the ability to do data analysis. We'll show you how. So you can upload data, obviously non-sensitive data, and get ChatGPT to do almost work like an analyst for you. Same thing with Claude. Images and presentations, ChatGPT has, through DALL-E, opened up the capability to do images, and their presentations tools as well. Copilot supports presentation generation, and then video generation. The video I showed you where I pretended to speak French was done through a tool called HeyGen. Fantastic real-time lip syncing. And there are some other video tools that you guys are, if not playing around with, we would recommend check them out. They will make your life easier and save you guys some time. So those are some of the tools that we use ourselves. We're happy to recommend and share with you guys. So let's get into talk about prompting. I know you guys are, for those who are using already ChatGPT, you're probably familiar with this word, which is crept up in our dictionary in a new way than it was used before. So a prompt essentially is a specific instruction that you give to a machine learning model, AI tool, that asks it to perform a specific task. So that's effectively what a prompt is. It's a language. What is a great thing about prompts is that they are very, very easy to understand, and they're natural language. So all of a sudden, AI, which was only, the kind of the premise of engineers and data scientists, now becomes open and available to all, thanks to the simplicity of prompts and the simplicity of using prompting in natural language, which is very, very easy to learn. However, to get the most out of prompts, it's really, really important to use them in the right way. So here's some tips and tricks that we use, and we'll show you some examples of much more detailed and prompts later on in the deck. So very, very important for prompts is to give it the right context, right? So the more specific you are, the better it gives you the result. Be as specific as possible in terms of word limits, tone, how you want the output to be. You can even include negatives to say, hey, do not include this, ignore this bit. Again, it's all about being much more specific and giving it your context. And then finally, I think most people are not doing this, but the way we do prompting in our team is we really make it an interactive exercise, right? Which is around questioning the output, challenging it, and go just like you're having a conversation, right? And asking to constantly improve the output. One of my favorite prompts is to say, hey, what would have been a better prompt? And the great thing about these AI tools is that they're there to teach you. They're there to help you. And the best person to teach you how to do prompting is yourself. If you go through that exercise of constantly learning and interacting with the prompt and make it iterative, as opposed to accepting the first answer and saying, hey, this is not what I wanted, right? You got to challenge and say, hey, this is not what I wanted. How could I have approached this better? and use that interactive exercise is probably one of the best things you can do to get better at prompting. A couple of other things I want to show you about AI tools, which are recent updates. So where ChatGPT and a lot of these generative AI tools are moving is almost replicating, kind of how we operate, right? So ChatGPT Plus has the capability to run data analysis. Again, you can upload data, again, non-sensitive data, where it'll do the analysis for you. And we've done this, we've used it, it works brilliantly. It now also has vision, so you can actually upload images and it'll do some really, really cool analysis for you in terms of images. It can transform images, it can create animations, where things that you would not want a designer to do, it can do that. So it's unlocked vision. It's also unlocked voice through the mobile app. So you can actually download the ChatGPT app. Again, this is, I believe, available on the Plus, ChatGPT Plus, which is a subscription, where you can actually ask a question, record a question, and make it a voice interaction. And it'll be fantastic to see where they take it, because there's so many examples of role plays and things like that that you have in a workplace environment that ChatGPT will be able to help you in the future simulate and act upon. So vision, voice, and obviously the brain is the LLM and the generative AI. So they're taking our voice, our video, and using the LLM or the brain they have built, they're processing it. Right. The other thing they've just launched is a ChatGPT App Store, which is custom GPTs, and it's pretty fantastic. And the direction ChatGPT is going just the way the Apple we went with the iPhone, where the App Store was unlocked. So we'll see more of this happening. This is very, very new, and people are still figuring out how to use GPT, custom GPT. So as you'll see in that example, Math Mentor is what I use with my 80-year-old. Sometimes I have to come up with maths questions, so I use the Math Mentor custom GPT and ask it for some output that I can then give to my son in specific areas. So custom GPT is a very, very interesting development. Lastly, on the ChatGPT side, I just wanted to mention a couple of things which I think most people are not familiar with. So you can actually ask ChatGPT not to use your data to train their models. And that's the setting which says, hey, data controls chat history and training. And if you uncheck that, it will not use your data to train the model. So this is the way, if you want to use some data that you don't want the world or the model to be trained on, just check that box and then upload the data, more sensitive data if needed. You just want to make sure that you don't upload sensitive data and the training is on. So that's one thing to keep your data secure. It also has custom instructions, which you can then use to personalize your ChatGPT input. So that it knows how you interact. You can feed your role, your context into custom instructions so that the output it generates is very, very personalized to you. So that's on AI tools. Let's talk about how to champion ethical, equitable, and secure AI practices. So this was a data, again, it was a research done by McKinsey, which said, hey, what are the top risks that HR teams and companies are seeing when it comes to deployment of AI? So obviously a ton of risks around inaccuracy of data, cybersecurity, IP, blah, blah, blah. But I guess from an HR standpoint, probably the most relevant risks are around, which they identified, where the team said 39% of people said the individual privacy is a risk they see. Workforce displacement, labor displacement, and equity and fairness is about 31%. So that's the risk they identified. Obviously, you can see on the right-hand side what percentage are actually working to mitigate that risk. So you can see that only a third are working on thinking about workforce labor displacement, how to mitigate that risk. 16%, i.e. half of the people who identified the equity and fairness risk are working on those, mitigating that risk. So basically, big difference between the risks outlined and how people are working to mitigate that risk. And that's something to think about. These are, obviously, there are more areas, but these are things that should be top of mind for HR teams, and because it's coming, it's not so far away. So how do you think about these risks? So I think, and manage them, right? So, we think that companies should have an AI policy, just like you have a confidentiality policy, whatever policies you are in place. It's high time companies start thinking about AI policies. About 40 to 80% of your employees are already using ChatGPT. You don't know how they're using it. What are they using it for? You don't know what data is going in there, company data, this, that. So it's really, really important to start thinking about that. It's important to give, again, training people and providing that support. When they look at those policies, it's important to work hand in hand with your IT teams to monitor compliance to that policy as you would for any other data security or cybersecurity or any other policy you have in place inside your organization. AI policy should be treated as similar level, and it's important to work hand in hand with other teams, specifically the IT teams. And finally, it's really important not just to know about the tools, but stay updated with the developments, right? Like 2 months ago, we 6 months ago we had or ChatGPT, then we had ChatGPT 4, and then you have Claude, then you have Bing Chat, you have Microsoft Copilot. Things are evolving. Now you have custom GPT App Store. Things are evolving so fast that, again, from a ethical standpoint, security standpoint, it's really, really important some way, shape, or form to stay updated with what's coming, so you can figure out, hey, what's the impact on my AI policy? What's the impact on data privacy and security inside my organization? So that's a quick touch point on that. How do you enhance the employee experience and nurture talent with Gen AI tools? So I think there's some really, really awesome use cases where you all can save so much time on some of the more mundane admin tasks that we have to do on a day-to-day basis with Gen AI tools. So I'll just show you some very, very quick examples. So if you look at this across the whole employee experience, we believe every aspect of employee experience, whether it's core HR, talent acquisition, or talent management, can benefit from the power of Gen AI. Your payroll, your HRIS tools, many of your existing tools will already have some elements of Gen AI live. If not live, in 6 months, they will have elements live. On top of it, you yourself can use ChatGPT and Gen AI tools across other aspects, whether it's recruitment, onboarding, engagement, and so on and so forth. So let's look at some quick examples on how you can do that. So here's an example of a prompt you can use, for example, for giving feedback, a very common use case. So this is an example of a much more detailed prompt. As you can see, we talk about context, and this prompt is about giving feedback to a senior exec, which is always challenging. About micromanaging and stuff like that, right? So, feel free to take the screenshot of that prompt. What you will see is that it's very, very specific. And if you want to go further level down, you can also include as an expert tip, when you last had that conversation, how did the individual react to that feedback? So again, the thing is, it's about specificity. It's about interacting with ChatGPT to get the best output and not stopping at the first output that you get. This simple example could save you a ton of time. With giving you different scenarios in giving this feedback. Here's another example. Let's say you want to launch a recognition program and you want to have a whole email campaign that goes out, right? So not only can you use ChatGPT and other tools to create those emails, the copy for those emails, you can actually ask it for the sequence, and you can say, hey, how many emails should I send? Give it more context about your organization and say, hey, I'm a hybrid team of X or whatnot. And that's the level of help you can get. On top of it, you can also use it to create a prompt that you can use on other image generation tools in case you wanted, images to run with this campaign, for example, right? Or now ChatGPT can generate images as well, so you can ask for images as well. So it's really things that you'd have taken maybe a day or so, you can pretty much get done, in less than an hour. For example, a communication program for a recognition system that you're just launching, or one recognition system. Keys, again, give context, interact with it, and see how it can help you. Here's our own example. So what we've done is, we're a skills-based microlearning platform. So, we cover hundreds and hundreds of skills. And within each skill, we have created competency levels and modules, training modules. And what we did is, obviously, this is an example of a prompt on curriculum development, focusing on a skill called customer support. And so our prompt goes something like, you're an L&D leader at an organization. You need to teach employees to master the skill to different levels. Level 1, we define the levels, and then we ask to generate a curriculum. So that's one half of the prompt, which generates a curriculum, breaks the skill into 6 sub-skills, and each level into 6 sub-skills, which means we have 18 sub-skills inside a skill with a curriculum, with modules, and then we generated 10,000 plus assessments on the back of this. Now, obviously, this is half of the prompt. There's another page of prompt which was used. Obviously, that's, but this is just to show you This is just half of the prompt we use. So, and it took my colleague, some time to come up with the right prompt through interactions and stuff like that. But again, we generate about 10,000 plus assessments, which are very good, high quality, manually vetted now, which would have taken us many, many months to generate. This is one of my favorite examples for those who are in your organization, execs, or who are kind of, hey, hesitant to use it. Get them to use it for your personal life, right? So I use it. I got two boys, and one 8-year-old and 1-year-old, and we went to the Midwest and East Coast. It was summer, and my wife and I, we used it to plan our travel. And it was fantastic. What would have taken days took us, a couple of hours. So this is exactly the prompt we use, which was a breakdown of the itinerary, how many stops, with very clear parameters of how much we want to drive, where we want to stay, and so on and so forth. So more details, better output, and boy, it was a massive, massive time saver for us. So again, personal life, you got many examples. I gave you the math example, personal travel, anything you can think of, I think it can help you. And again, if you save time in your personal life, obviously it affects your work life, creates less stress. So it's not just about work life, it's about personal life as well, how you use it. So here's the output we got when we did the Denver itinerary, very, very detailed, where to stay, what to do with the kids, and so on and so forth. Cool. So Afimus AI, how we're using generative AI, we've, as I said, as an example, right? We use it to create skill maps. So we've created competency maps, skill maps, role-based, which using generative AI, in addition to a lot of automation and manual input we have put in. So role-based skill maps, we've used it for competency mapping, 10,000 plus skill assessments. We've launched a new feature, which is called the bite-sized bookshelf, which is basically book summaries, which again are AI generated. And then we've got 20,000 lessons, and we've created flashcards as a memory recall tool using generative AI. Now, what's really, really important is that all our lessons are generated by are from coaches and experts around the world. We have people from Harvard Business School, MIT, all these places, great coaches and teachers. However, the wrapper around making that content and learning much better, things like flashcards, things like quizzes, we're using generative AI for, which has saved us tons and tons of time. So, even if you're training and everything you're producing individually, you can actually do a lot of things as a wrapper using generative AI, which are very, take a lot of human effort and save a ton of time doing that. So these are some examples. There are many more that we'll be very happy to share. So again, I think what's really, really important is, if you have to succeed in the AI world, you have to build a culture of learning. You have to get that going, because things are changing very, very rapidly. And you got to get people in that learning mindset and that growth mindset. And one of the things that really, really important for companies to focus on is to champion AI-related skills. So we've seen some large organizations, some of the biggest consulting firms in the world, some massive financial services firms in the world who are already have launched AI academies. We're working with some of them, helping their employees get upskilled with AI, because it's changing so, so fast. And the only way to stay upskill on AI is by constantly learning, and little and often. It's not, you can't send someone on a 5-day AI course and expect them to figure out AI. It's not going to happen. By the time they do the course, a month later, everything would have changed. So constant upskilling is the only way to succeed in this new world of AI. Through our platform, this is an example of the AI academies we're helping companies with. So we offer personalized AI academies across each function. So leadership, HRD, HR teams, sales, marketing, function-specific training. And this is just an example of how we are running AI academies and some of the coaches that we are working with around the world who are experts in their domain. So you have to find your own way how you do it. Obviously, we can help if you want to, but at the same time, but this really should be kind of top of mind and building that continuous upskilling and learning culture. My final point is around, how do you plan and guide that AI-led transformation that's going to happen in your organization? It is going to happen in the not too distant future. So here's a data point that was quite interesting. It was published by Accenture. It said that 40% of working hours will be impacted. As you can see, financial services, insurance are right at the top of the list, then followed by software. And as you can see at the bottom of the list are probably things that require real, human activity, construction, trade, that probably are initially going to be the least impacted. But these are massive, massive number of hours that will be impacted. So how do you think about that transformation that's going to happen. Obviously, you know your organizational context best, you know what best works in your company, but we have to be thinking about that change that's coming and start planning for that change. So how do you adapt to that change? Obviously, it's not just a technology change, it's as much as a culture change. How do you get people to do things differently? How do you get people to say, hey, that activity that you're doing that's got huge admin involved, let's get AI support to do that. That's a big cultural change. So, some suggestions from our end. Again, you know your org's best and what works best in your company. Get internal AI champions. There are people in your company who are already AI champions, even though you don't know it. Find them, get them. How do you get them to spread the word across the rest of the company? Assess the impact on tasks. So this is not, AI is not about, hey, eliminating jobs. It's eliminating mundane tasks so that, people can do much more interesting things, much more exciting things with their time. So focus on the AI impact on tasks, especially the routine, mundane tasks. And that means thinking about how do you refresh your talent and training strategy. Established channels, there'll be lots of questions from employees. There'll be concerns as you start implementing something. People say, hey, what's going to happen to me? What's going to happen to my role? And obviously having those open channels to foster that communication and dialogue is really, really key. So where do we go from here? So I think one of the first most important things from my standpoint is to think of AI as assisted intelligence. It's obviously artificial intelligence, but AI is your personal assistant that can work with you and work with your teams, work with your people. Everybody gets their personal assistant, AI assistant, who can help them make their jobs much more easier and make them much more effective in their work life and personal life. So don't panic. It's your personal AI-powered assistant. Understand the benefits, but very, very important to understand the risks as well. Work with your internal teams, with your management teams, with your IT teams, and make it a collective exercise. Put AI tools into play. I think the best way to learn the impact is to start using the product yourselves, whether it's ChatGPT or whatever your favorite tool. Start using it. Use it in your work life. Use it in your personal life. Understand the AI capabilities of the tools that you have already. That's really, really important. Many of the tools that you use in your HR tech stack should have AI capabilities. If not, you should be looking for those that have, and be on top of how those AI capabilities are advancing for the tools that you use already. And when it comes to highly manual tasks, obviously with no sensitive data involved, think about how can I use my assistant, my AI assistant first. So let AI automate those mundane tasks. So those were the things to kind of think about. I think that's kind of pretty much it. From my end, just there's a little cheat sheet there. Feel free to take a screenshot of that cheat sheet. It'll take you to a page where you can download our AI cheat sheet that we have built just for HR teams. And some lucky winner will also get Hugo, our little mascot, who was in my video with us. But yeah, please, over to you guys for questions.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Saurav. I mean, that was absolutely amazing. Like, I've learned so much, and from a personal perspective, but also from a work perspective as well. So some really great, helpful points for everyone to take away from that. We've had some great questions coming through. Please keep sending them along. But the first one I've got, Saurav, for you is, how do companies tend to quality check the outputs? So I'm guessing you need to be manually checked, read the text, or is there an automated quality check that can be done?
So the question is, how do companies tend to quality check the output of AI? Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, are they manually checked, or are they automated quality checks that can be done?
Yeah. So I think if you're talking about the AI deployment across companies, right, it is still at the early stages. So you've got ChatGPT Enterprise. So just to again clarify, so you can use AI at a personal level. When you go to ChatGPT, use it personally, right? Whether you pay the ChatGPT Plus, or you will have an enterprise deployment from a tool like ChatGPT for Enterprise, or Microsoft Copilot and other such tools, right? So if you separate the two, because probably most of the usage, probably 95% plus of the usage on ChatGPT and AI tools is at a personal level right now, right? So I think the question to ask is, how do I, to break this question into two, how do I ensure the quality of the output? And second is, how do companies, right? So I think we should break that question into two. So let me address the company side of things. So from a company side of things, like a lot of these enterprise tools are trained on your data. So the purpose of GPT Enterprise or Microsoft Copilot would be trained on your data. So by that measure, you're expecting that the output is coming from a question you're asking on your data. So let's say, you train it on, you feed all your HR policies, all the documents into ChatGPT Enterprise, which is for your company, and you ask the question, hey, what is my holiday policy, right? What is my sick leave policy, blah, blah, blah. So that is coming from your data, right? So inherently, the quality of the output is rich and good and strong. Obviously, you have to interact with it a few times, but it's trained on your data, right? So the quality of the output is generally going to be much, much better because it's not trained on the World Wide Web. You're using it personally. In that case, the data is coming from the World Wide Web, right? And with every model, it's actually getting better. So I think you just have to do a quick sanity check, right? That's why the human element is so important, right? The accuracy, and the more specific you get into the prompt, is so important, right? In the previous ChatGPT versions, it used to hallucinate a bit, and so I would go and say, hey, don't hallucinate, or hey, is this really true? I would ask, but the new models are actually much better. So I think that's why you need a manual check, right? To say, hey, expertise, human expertise. So don't expect it to always give you 100% of the result, right? It'll take you 90% of the way there, but you got to keep, at this stage, you have to keep asking the question, do that manual sanity check, throw things in there like don't hallucinate, or just for fun, I do it sometimes, or is this really accurate, right? You're telling me the truth. One of the things, which is just a side note, and I didn't mention, is that recent papers have shown that emotional prompting actually gets you better results, 10% better results. So you can ask questions like, hey, this is really important for me, and or things like, hey, please, help me out here, right? Is this really true? You can go further. Even if it tells you no, I have tried to say, hey, oh, sure, give it a go. You can do it. Like I talked to my 8-year-old son, you can give it a go. Please, you can do it. This is, you get, and it's funny because it's trained on obviously billions and trillions of parameters of human language. So it actually emotional prompting works, gets you better and more accurate output as well. But obviously by no means is 100% kind of guaranteed all the time, but it does get pretty close in a number of cases.
That's interesting. Thank you so much. We've got another question, if you don't mind. So what is the extent to which you can use AI? Could you ask it to write a full training deck with images, facts, interactions to upskill managers in a competency such as communication? Or
yeah, so I think so let's again break this question. So can you write it to write a full training deck? And can you use it to write a full training program, right? So yes, you can. You need some very advanced prompting for that to get a high level of accuracy. And like, just to give you an example, it took my colleague about almost a week and a half to 2 weeks to come up with a prompt that actually we were very, very happy with the quality of the output. Obviously, we did a lot of manual checks to sanitize it. So it is capable of doing that. You do need advanced prompting to do that. But again, you can learn it. It'll just take time. You're going to have to constantly interact with it and all that. So it can do that. Then it can produce an output. We have, we have seen that in action ourselves. It can produce the structure of the program for you, right? So the key is to get the structure right. So it can produce the structure of the program for you. Now converting it into decks, I know people who use it for generating decks. My team, we generate our decks manually because we don't think it's good enough right now to generate great decks. It can generate a basic deck if you want to. But then going from your module, the description of the training program, i.e. the modules, then flushing out the content of each module, and then generating a deck. So there are 3 steps in the process. I think the middle step, which is generating detailed training, again, it can be done. You have to have some advanced prompting to do that. And then the deck generation, it does do it at a good level. If you want great decks, you probably still need some human input. So sorry, I just want to, I hope I answered that question. I just want to be very specific in each area.
Thank you, Saurav. The other one that we've got is in what way do you see AI transforming HR technology? So anything from HRIS or ATS recruitment systems and LMS learning systems.
Yeah. So I think from an HR tech standpoint, I think it's probably one of the the biggest areas from, if you look at it from a from an employee, from a company software stack. HR tech stack is probably one of the biggest areas. So if you look at, the employee kind of life cycle, right? If you go back to the slide, I said, just, you start off with your ATS, your recruitment, then you have the onboarding side, right? So if you're looking at the ATS side of things, for example, publishing job ads, right? So creating job ads for your company, that's just a no-brainer. It's content generation. AI probably does a much, much better job than we can do it. Again, that doesn't mean that takes you 100% there. It'll take you 95% there, right? If you feed a good context in and say, hey, I want to create a job advert, and this is this, very simple. It can do that. And most ATSs and recruitment platforms will probably bake it in if they haven't already. If they haven't, by next year, you should ask the question, is this software partner the right one for me when they're not baking in AI? Because their goal is to help you save time, right? So any kind of content generation activity, any kind of mundane activity. So ATS is huge benefit in terms of time savings, automatic filtering of CVs, right? You can actually, if you once you create your skill map, or here are the skills that I'm looking for, here's a skill profile that I'm looking for in a candidate, these systems should automatically be able to filter CVs to you, obviously based on how someone has written a CV. So, smart guy, some smart people will use that to write very good CVs that get automatically filtered. So obviously that's the downside, but job ads, filtering of CVs, huge amount of time savings. Obviously the human to human aspect you cannot replace. So you still have to do the face-to-face interviews, but huge amounts in onboarding, HR systems, right? So much time is spent going back and forth when employees are asking you all those questions around, hey, what is this? What is that? So the Q&A side of stuff that HR teams do a lot of can be easily, automated through AI. And I think that is going to happen. Your HR systems will have automatic. So I think every system, every software will have a chatbot, right? That's the primary interaction that's going to happen, right? And those chatbots will be in Slack or Teams, wherever you are. And your employees are going to ask the question, hey, here's my HR chatbot, please answer this question, which will then pull data that you have fed in and be able to respond. So a lot of the mundane activity will just shift. Reward and recognition systems, right? You'll generate automatic triggers, which will say, hey, this is time to recognize. Here's pre-populated recognition copy for your people, right? Employee onboarding. So every aspect is going to change. Wherever there's content generation, where there was manual activity, it's going to be automated. And that's the beauty, because then you can spend more time on human-to-human conversations, right? You can spend more time talking to your people, which you cannot when you're doing a lot of this admin stuff, right? LMSs, I think big shift coming. A lot of traditional LMSs and learning management systems have been doing some kind of machine learning, but it's nowhere to the scale that it needs to be. I've shown you 5 examples of how we use it, which is around competency development, skill development, assessments. We also use it in our recommendation logic. So I think by end of next year, you should see most LMSs use it, especially as the world moves to skill-based learning. It becomes even more important to use that AI. So I think from an HR tech stack standpoint, massive shift coming, which will make all our lives a lot easier, our employees happier, and the employee experience much, much more enriching for our people in our companies.
Amazing. That's really interesting. Thank you. We've got quite a few questions coming through, Saurav, so probably 2 or 3 more if that's okay with you.
Yeah, sure. I'll keep the answer short as well. So
so from a TA standpoint now, so from a talent acquisition standpoint, can an ATS detect if a CV has been written using AI like ChatGPT? So, for example, could I ask ChatGPT if this CV has been written by them?
Yeah, you could, and you could ask, but it's not foolproof, right?
Okay.
Because you can also ask ChatGPT to write a CV and then say, write it in a way that no one detects it's written by you.
Okay.
Right? So, and this is a big debate in educational institutions where people are, teachers are asking, hey, are students using ChatGPT? So some companies are selling AI detectors to see if it's you can detect, but that's not foolproof. Because these systems are smart enough if you instruct them to write it in a way that that you cannot decode that it's been written by them. So yes, so I don't think personally there's any point in buying AI detection software. The smart people will find a way around it. So you cannot really, in a foolproof way, detect if something's written by AI.
Okay, interesting.
100% detect. You probably get some coverage, but there's no way you can guarantee.
No, that's really helpful. Thank you.
So I have another one. Where would you suggest someone goes to further develop their L&D prompt engineering skills? Are there any particular courses or certifications that you'd recommend?
Yeah, so actually we have, we're happy to, obviously after this webinar, we're happy to send you, we have a very complimentary, ChatGPT and generative AI for L&D leaders micro course. We're happy to send you the link as a follow-up to this email. It's very short, 15, 20 minutes. And our goal is to update it every month. I think that, obviously, I think what we've done is basically made it, our AI training is very function specific and it's short. And there's a reason why we're not pushing, and it's complementary, obviously, for HR leaders and L&D leaders, is that we're not pushing a 5 hours AI course for you because, by the way, there's no point because it's going to change in every next month or month after. So you're better off doing little and often, right? So anyone who's selling you like a full day AI workshop, please don't spend money on it because honestly, things are changing so fast that that it'll be redundant, right? So obviously we can happy to send you the link. There's some generic AI training available. I think you'll see some stuff on LinkedIn, but what we have seen is everything is just so many hours long that it just doesn't make sense because it's just changing so fast. You're better off doing little and often. That's why we're happy to send you what we have produced. We have partnered with L&D AI platform leaders like Synthesia, some great AI coaches, and we harnessed their knowledge and chunked it and bite-sized it. So in 15, 20 minutes, you can get up to speed on what's happening. And honestly, the best way to learn is use the product, use ChatGPT. There's no one who can train you about using ChatGPT and prompts better than you yourself. People will give you advanced tips and tricks, but unless you actually practice them in your context, that'll be the best way to do it.
That's really good practical points for everyone, I think, because otherwise it can be so overwhelming, but it's kind of going back to basics, which actually are the most impactful.
Moving on to maybe a slightly more negative side of AI, which I think a lot of people would love to hear your opinion on this, Saurav, is what do you think AI is not good at in HR? And then leading on to, do you think that our jobs eventually will be replaced by AI specifically in HR? Sorry, sort of two questions combined there.
Yeah. So I think for all the things that I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of biases, right? In the output you will receive. And, so you have to be just conscious of that. So I think accuracy, so again, as you start playing around with it, you'll see it, as HR leaders, as experiences domain, you'll see it. Again, I don't think it'll get you 100% of the job done, but probably get you 80, 90% of the mundane tasks that you don't enjoy doing. It can be generated from it, right? So I think, will it replace jobs? I think it'll replace a bunch of tasks for sure, not just in HR, every function, you name it, right? Senior analyst, senior consultant at a firm like BCG and McKinsey, they're finding that 60% of the time that an analyst spends at BCG doing these amazing presentations, data analysis, are actually now automated using AI. So, so that means that the analyst can focus, or consultant can focus on more, interesting things that humans can do and AI cannot do, right? So I think a big chunk of the tasks will be, which are mundane, routine, we don't enjoy, will be automated. And I think the exciting side of that is that, then HR teams can spend time on people time, because AI will never replace that human interaction, right? And that's the beauty of HR. It's about human interactions, right? So I think compared to a lot of other functions, the HR time repurposing will be much, much more exciting, because we like spending time with people. We like spending time, engaging with people, and the mundane jobs will take away. So I think there will probably, I think the big chunk of the percentage of the job, of the tasks will be taken away, as opposed to the jobs being taken away.
Thank you, Asha. I think maybe one more, and then we'll close it off.
Yes. It says, can you upload multiple articles and ask it to summarize key facts or place it into training modules?
Yeah, definitely. So what you can do is now, so what happens is that this AI, the more important thing to understand is that context window. So context window means how much it can actually process. So both Claude and actually Bard, which is a Google product, and ChatGPT are good at that, where you can actually upload documents, right? You can summarize, there are tools that you can summarize long research papers by uploading PDFs. Again, be careful, sensitive data, all that. You have to be conscious of that. But if you let a big research ebook, you can actually upload it and summarize it, right? So, and give you the key points. So that's what we've done to create a whole, book club. We're helping companies create their book clubs, because we're starting with book summaries, and the book summaries it's producing is incredible, right? We started playing around with OpenAI 3 years ago. When we launched 5minutes.ai, we were using GPT-2, and that back then it was pretty poor at summaries. Now it's incredible. So summarization is the simplest use case you can use to save you time to summarize key nuggets.
Perfect. Thank you.
Amazing. Will you also do me a quick favor, Saurav? Will you just quickly put your slide back onto the screen with the QR code? I think there was a couple of people that still wanted to scan that before we shoot off.
Absolutely. It's right here.
Fantastic. Thank you. Amazing. I think that's kind of enough questions now, but Saurav, what maybe we can do is share the final questions through to you, and we can post those round to the group. But no, that's been absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Yeah. So yeah, very exciting, and thank you for taking the time. Your lunchtime slot and the morning slot for regions. It was really fun, and I personally think it's very, very exciting. It's exciting what we can do with this new powerful technology. Obviously, mindful of the risks and conscious of the limitations of the platform.
I also think. Go on. Sorry, Asha. You go. You go.
No, I was just going to say that there's quite a few requests for the slideshow and the co-star. So what we'll do is we'll send that across, and then you can contact Saurav directly as well if you've got any kind of follow-up questions as well.
Absolutely, and we've recorded the session as well for people to share that around with teams and their networks if they'd like to do so. And I think, do you know what my biggest takeaway from this, from maybe those that sort of answered in the beginning that they were slightly nervous, is that actually AI isn't necessarily here to sort of replace our jobs. It's so that we can kind of enhance them in a way. And I think it was really refreshing, Saurav, with how involved you are in AI, for you to speak about it so positively, and actually about the fact that it's going to make our lives a lot easier for us to do the things we love and to support kind of things in businesses and trajectories that they want to do and are kind of moving on to. So thank you so much. It was a positive conversation about AI for sure. And made you a bit less nervous, Asha.
Yeah. I always say use it in your personal life, start seeing your personal use cases, and you'll be shocked how much it can save you in terms of time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, everyone, as well.
Bye.
Take care, everybody. Thank you.